Go.
Okay, so let's do introductions. My name is Joe Makuc. I'm with the Monterey Oral History Project, and you are.
My name is Susan Anderson, and I worked at the Monterey Schoolhouse for 37 years.
And Mrs. Anderson personally taught me for 2 of those years. Yes, I stayed back in kindergarten because I was born in October. For questions, where were you born?
I was born in Freeport, Long Island, and the hospital that I was born in doesn't live there anymore because I tried to get a birth certificate, but they built a new one, and I don't know the name of it, but I was born in Freeport, Long Island Hospital, I believe.
And when and how did you come to Monterey?
I grew up in New Marlboro, and the reason I got the job in Monterey, my first son was really little, like 6 months old, let's say, and I applied for it and I didn't get it, but the woman who did get it came with a husband that was a school teacher at the high school. And when they drove from South Egremont, where they were going to live, to Monterey, she said, "I quit." Literally. So my boss, Paul Anger, called me right up and said, "Could you be ready after Labor Day?" And I said, "Yes." And that's how it started.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what was school like when you were growing up?
When I was growing up, kindergarten was in Great Barrington, and Mrs. Chapin was my school teacher, and Mrs. Shaw, who's from Monterey. We did square dancing, we played in a little house, we did puzzles, songs. We weren't introduced, even when I was first teaching kindergarten, so much to, learning how to read or something. But we had a grand time, and I think it was a half day, and it was in the St. James Church Rectory Hall, or it was in there someplace. There was a kindergarten in there, and that's where I went to kindergarten.
In Great Barrington?
In Great Barrington. My
Yeah.
mom would drive me. I don't remember if my brothers or sisters, I don't even remember who else was in the car, because there was always a lot of people in the car. And whether they went to a different location. And then in first grade, I went to the New Marlboro School. And I think the first grade class, as I remember, was in the basement. It's now a cafeteria.
Yes.
And I went through that school through sixth grade. And then I went to Mount Everett, the junior high school. So.
Yeah, so that's cool. I think I also remember having preschool in St. James Rectory. Was that it?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. That
So-
very well could have, yes, probably that happened later. Yes.
Yeah. So, why did you become a public school teacher?
Well, when I was in probably 7th grade, another boy in town and I started, we called it play school, Saturday morning play school. He had no interest in cutting grass or jobs like that. We both wanted money, and his dad had a shed at the top of the road, right next to the highway. Carl Lipsky used to keep, boxes from Jennifer House there or something. He cleared out a room, and surprisingly, we started getting, regular people that would drop their kids off and pay us from, say, 9 a.m. to noon, let's say. And we were really good at it, and it wasn't hard, it was fun. And I suppose I did a lot of babysitting in those days, and it wasn't a chore. It just, I don't know, I some kind of aptitude about all that. And I had brothers and sisters, I suppose, as any of you Makucs would be good at this.
Yes.
And that's how I got interested. And at first, I went to school in Springfield College, because I had a scholarship for gymnastics. And they didn't have an early childhood program. And I was not really about what I was doing. So I transferred to UMass and got into the child development program, early childhood education, and it went from there.
Wow.
Yes.
So wait, you did gymnastics too in school?
Yes, in high school and college. A lot in college, actually. Lots of colleges have a gymnastics team.
Yeah, I know mine does, but
Anyway, I was good at that at the time.
yeah, well that's cool.
Yes.
And so basically, you kind of got started down, the public school path in 7th grade,
Yes.
because you wanted to work, but you didn't want to.
I didn't want it to be something that it just came easily to me, as some kids in kindergarten learn how to read before you help them. Some don't, it's like anything.
Yeah.
And I happened to be able to manage that. Like, I didn't have to stay with gymnastics, or I must have put some effort in. Yes, but it was easy for me.
Yeah. So what positions did you end up holding in public schooling?
Just kindergarten and first grade. I did a little bit of third grade work, part of a year in, the name of the town was Winchester, Massachusetts, because I had a job at night in a plastic factory, and I would substitute by day, and they would call me up, and I would go in, and then suddenly someone had a baby or had to leave. I don't know the details, and they hired me as a third grade teacher, but that class was well underway. That wasn't a big stretch, actually. So, but kindergarten and first grade, and when you combine them, as perhaps when you were in school we did, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. And
Yeah.
early K also.
I definitely remember that.
Yes.
It was a boon to be next to the first graders and whatnot.
Yes, yes. And those programs, I think in Monterey, even though it's a single site classroom, every classroom on the planet is multi-age, of course. So that's not really a cell or anything, but when you do have a blended classroom of kids like early KK or K1, it's fantastic. It doesn't happen that often. And maybe it has something to do with, maybe some school teachers, although at that level the curriculum isn't, they give you a frameworks book now. Well, I've been retired a while, actually. But in Massachusetts, the frameworks book, you could zigzag or go down the middle. They didn't care how you did it, as long as there's proficiency in the proficiency column for the objectives. So you could, as you might remember, I taught poetry until it was like, but it helped kids to read. It was so easy once you had all the language, because you're never going to read a word you've never heard. I don't mean you're never. It would be like me looking at a German book.
Yeah.
It's just, so if you, that happened to be, I happened to hit on that, and that was really helpful.
Yeah. So I guess we can skip ahead a little bit to that. I remember when I was at school, we had the kindergarten poetry recital, and it was a really big deal, and I was so excited the year I got to be the Eagle in Alfred Tennyson's Eagle.
Yes.
But, so could you talk a little bit about your role in that and the experience?
Well, I realized that early on that at the end of the year, let's say, the class could recite 20, 30, kind of, as you say, Alfred Tennyson or Emily Dickinson. It wasn't eeny, meeny, miny. It wasn't a counting rhyme or something. It was a lot, sort of. And I realized how much fun it would be to act it out, because in the whole language back in the day, you'd read a book, you'd act it out, you'd dress up, and all that, of course, contributes to the experience, and kids like it, you know. You like being the eagle, I bet.
Yes.
You jumped off like the thing that was this high, like, oh. I didn't know you were the eagle, but I have all those masks upstairs, felt masks. But I realized, and parents, the year-end show, since I didn't have a lot of, you know, I had a meeting at the beginning of school and say things like, you don't argue with a 5-year-old. If you lose, you're an idiot. If you win, you're a bully. Just don't do it. Stop negotiating. And I'd say things like that. But there was a big space between the beginning of the year and the end of the year. And so I decided we could put together, you know, even if we just sang or did poems and everybody really liked it. And then the parents came in, I wrote a grant to get, to make the felt, those heads you're talking about. And a woman whose daughter was in the class had a farm, and she brought in, I didn't know how you made felt, I had no idea, but she brought in bamboo mats, a bushel of goat hair from the farmyard, literally, and some other kind of hair, I think. And we, you know, washed it and played with it, and I remember we had some kind of balloons to shape things, and she dyed the felt, and we cut it and sewed and, you know, made these gorgeous things, and they carried on right till the end, and I didn't leave them there. I have them.
Oh, wow.
Because they didn't really they belonged to parents, you know, the parents that came and made them, and if you didn't have the same repertoire in terms of poems, or they wouldn't really, they're not just for, you know, running around the house or Halloween. They're kind of artwork, don't you think?
Yeah.
They were, I should show Wendy before she leaves. They're quite, my granddaughter is, I don't let her, you know, I let her and her friend like wear them for a while, but I wouldn't give them to her. I might put them in the will. But, yeah.
Yeah, well that's great. So that could be memorabilia, but let's see. I've heard that you have a story about a short trip to the zoo.
Oh, yeah. I had a job in the Claver Day School in Wichita, Kansas. My husband was in the Air Force, and he was gone a lot underground in a Titan missile site or something. And I had a good job. This is interesting. And I was trying to remember when I got the job. It was probably in 68, 69, 70, or 71. I'm not positive. But I went for an interview from the newspaper, and they hired me when I walked in because I was white, and they needed a white teacher in that schoolhouse. Mm-hmm. And I did have credentials or a little transcript or something. But the reason I got the job was they had to have a white school teacher, and then they had to have 2 white kids in each class because of federal funding, or they were trying to do integration. And it was, I don't know how slow it was or fast, but it wasn't wasn't a big deal, but I got the job. That was a big deal. So there was no money for, say, school trips, or it was, we did walking field trips. And we went across the park, you know, probably went down the sidewalk for a couple of blocks, across the park. I'm sure the neighborhood, there were a lot of, the thing I was afraid of in that neighborhood were the dogs, because people had mean dogs, like to guard things, I think. But anyway, we'd take the kids, and I had an assistant. We'd walk across the park, and there was a zoo, and a real zoo. In those days, the zoo was like, it was like the critters were doing time, like in a jail or a penitentiary, because it was concrete and there were bars, and like a big monkey who would ride a rubber tire and bang the thing and whatever. So I had all the little kids lined up, and one kid went under the, it wasn't a barrier, it was like a velvet rope. And one of the little boys, his name was Junebug, I don't know his real name, but I called him Junebug. The ocelot's tail was hanging down, and he goes over and he pulled on it really hard. So the ocelot made this so scary. They had guards at the zoo, like wearing little pistols. I think if something got out, and they had an outfit, and the guy came charging in, and I like grabbed the kid. We're like, pretending. I didn't want to mention what we did, but he did. So everybody calmed down, and then we went to the monkey pen or whatever it was, and a monkey. My assistant had a yellow dress on. She called it a house dress, and she was very fastidious. Just not. I was not, and she really was. And a monkey. How do I say this? Squatted and put put poop in his hand and threw it at her.
Oh no!
Right out of the cage. Like the cage had bars, and threw it at her, and it hit her. And I looked, and I shouldn't have laughed because it wasn't funny, but it looked so funny. And I thought she was going to kill it. She reached in her purse and she pulled out a gun. And I thought she was going to kill the monkey. And I don't think I knew she carried a gun at the time, although everybody, that neighborhood, they wondered why I didn't have a gun, because they called it, I always have my .38. That's a kind of a gun.
Yeah.
And I thought she was going to shoot the monkey. And then she aimed it at me. And I said, "No, Molly, no." And the kids laughed because I laughed. It was awful. I was so scared. And then she realized, so she put her gun back in her purse. And I paused. It was terrible. I said, "I will walk the kids back," because I knew I could, get 12 kids or 13 kids back safely. And I knew she would not walk around with that all over her dress. So she left, and I said, "You can go home early," because she was my assistant.
Yeah.
So that was okay for me to do, sort of. And I have a photograph in the other room. I would show you just for your amusement, because that was an amazing place to work. Because can I walk in and get it, or should I?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
We can.
I'll hurry. I'll hurry. You'll get such a kick out of it.
I mean, we can see all the memorabilia at some point.
Yeah.
The Owl and the Pussycat.
Yeah, I can go over and do.
Probably really dusty. I'm sure, because I haven't cleaned in it much.
Oh, wow.
That's Lauline. That was my assistant, and I wasn't very old. I'm sorry about the dust.
Wow.
So what I'll do is I'll put it in the camera and you tell just what is in the picture.
Oh, okay.
So-
Well,
Let's see if I can.
it's just my class. It's the class and the woman. Let's see. That was my assistant, Lauline, and there's me. And I don't even remember her name. She had the class below me. Like, I had the 5-year-olds. She probably had the 4-year-olds. I had the bigger ones.
Do you know who was Junebug?
Junebug. Well, if I get my other glasses, I'll know. Oh, they were, he and Maylene were like,
She looks so young.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. This is really a period story.
My
This is
sister
very
gave
cool.
me that for my retirement. My mom must have kept a lot of stuff, and I never went through my mom's stuff. My sister kind of did, and so she made that for me for my
There's-
retirement present, and I was so happy because we didn't have in our like my smartphone or whatever I have. You know, it takes nice pictures.
Yeah.
It's better than a photo. Well, not her camera, but cameras I have. But in those days, I don't know who took that
I
picture.
didn't realize there's a reflection. I'm trying to. Maybe you're better off going back on the couch and holding it, and I can zoom in.
Okay.
If you hold it up and
Yeah.
you can sit with her and just sort
Yeah.
of go back again over the. Let's see how close I can get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. I remember this Monique. I think this is Junebug.
Right in the back.
Yeah, that would be Junebug. Because he didn't want to like do what we were doing. Well, he had fun, but
But he didn't want to be in the picture.
no. Well, he might have. And this is Maylene. She was, and Monique. And this was the little white. There were two. They had a little white kid in every class. That I don't know if you don't like say that anymore. I don't really know. I just know that's what happened. And this was the funny little playhouse.
Yeah.
In the yard, the whole place was fenced in pretty securely. That was probably something to play in,
Yeah. It's like
you
a
know.
little
But
tube.
we didn't have, you know.
And this is so cool. There's a little cart.
Yes, that little cart. That's Charles. I remember him.
So this is the infamous Junebug.
That's Junebug. That's Junebug in the back. That's Anthony. Gee, I'm surprised. You know, my memory doesn't go very far, but when I look at this close, that's Reggie.
Oh.
He was kind of punky sometimes.
You can tell who the punky people are
Yeah.
because they're in the back.
Yes. And they did, you know, I used to say, that isn't cute and that wasn't funny. And they go, it wasn't cute, but it was funny. And then I'd laugh, and then that messed it all up. But anyway, that's,
Yeah. That's so cool. And
yeah.
it almost looks like Gobby, honestly.
A little, yeah. I think her name was Cynthia. And
Oh.
I'm wishing I could remember her name.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't. I'll remember it. I'll remember it someday, but I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
This is, yeah.
Yeah, we have to move on. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got to that part because I was only there full school year and maybe a half, and then my husband got out of the Air Force
Oh, yeah.
and we left. But it was so interesting. It was very interesting.
Yeah. So, speaking of outings, I remembered that we always walked down to the library
Yes.
when I was in school.
Yes.
So, I mean, what kind of... did you think of an incident like the one you just described, or what was going through your mind when you, when I guess we did that?
Well, the business of being in charge of kids on the highway is always big. But it felt to me like after relentless attention to detail and learning how to do it, which we probably practiced and whatever, and going to the park and having to cross the street and making sure kids stayed in the grass, all the rules. It wasn't really that difficult. If you're in a single classroom site, there's kind of nowhere to hide. Like you have to own up to things because people see you or whatever, and it's just not worth it. Kind of if you're going to lose 5 minutes on the timer of recess and wait till the bell rings and then you come out, kind of deal.
Yeah.
It just makes and there's no reason if the program is developmentally appropriate and you're fair, there's not really discipline involved with 5 and 6 year olds. I'm sure that wouldn't be the secret later, but that's definitely the trick. But I do remember in the park, someone climbed up the basketball hoop thing. The thing where you throw the basketballs?
Yeah.
I think it was a nephew of mine, because I remember I wasn't afraid to yell at him. I'm pretty sure it was. And his foot, with a sneaker on it, went someplace that he couldn't get down.
Oh no.
I had to have like Elaine boost me up, or somebody, we had to do things to get him. I remember that incident, and I remember a boy in the porta potty at the park, because we went to the park, you might remember, on Glorious Fridays,
Yes.
and later on we walked up to the garden. I don't remember what day of the week, but we had those out where we walked, you know, and we walked to ice skate
Yes.
also at the top of the hill. But back to that other situation, there was a porta potty. I don't know why. I guess maybe there wasn't always one there, but there was one there that year.
Yep.
And I was always afraid someone would lock themselves in, and then what? You know, how do you get it? I don't know if there's an escape hatch or anything. So I would stand, or my assistant would stand and keep our hand like on the door, because I think inside you could lock yourself in, and Junebug would have. But so this boy started saying things like, "Oh no, oh no, no, no," and then he said, I'm stuck." So he opened up and he saw a Coca-Cola can or something in the urinal part, and he tried to get it out,
Oh.
and he couldn't get his arm out, and so and I believe he came at the farm, and they called the recycling like the pink pig or the big pig, or he said, "This belongs to the pink." There was some lingo that I didn't understand, but he was doing the right thing but the wrong way.
Yes.
We could have used a stick, or I wouldn't have done it, period. I would just let whoever works there do that. But and I couldn't get his arm out. I did, but I had to lift him, you know, and twist him. And
Yeah.
That's a story. And a little girl, for some reason at that schoolhouse, they installed toilet tissue dispensers like you'd have at the mall, where you could see like 4 rolls, and
Yeah.
you'd do this. Why at that, I don't know, but one little girl saw this one ran out, and she didn't know you would twist it, so she put her arm in
Oh no.
to try to get some, and then she was crying, and so I went in, and you know, you can get them out, but you need to pick them up and turn them, and they need to do what you're asking. They're small things, but they were, when I think back, it does make me laugh. It didn't make me laugh at the time.
Yeah. Well, you learned kindergarten physics.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah,
so-
that's right.
So what defined teaching at a one-room schoolhouse like that?
Well, I think it was, first of all, it was the right age for me to be near. I think 5 and 6-year-olds, 4 are a little bit, 4s are a little hard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you give a 4-year-old a chair, it's a rocket ship, and then it's a cage, and then, you know, it's like all kinds of stuff. And if you give a 5-year-old, it's to sit in, and a 6-year-old is, well, could I have my work folder now? You know, like they know the deal, and they're happy about it. But I think the 5 and the 6-year-olds, and I don't know that much about other levels, but I still think to this day, if you're going to work with people, they represent everything that's good on the planet. I remember little kids saying, I said, "And Ben, you won." He said, "Did I cheat?" I said, "No, why? My brother says I cheat." He didn't even, he just knew that was something not good, but he didn't know how or what it really meant. It just meant you won, but somebody didn't like it. Do you know what I mean? Like he would learn that certainly by 2nd grade. You know, but it's just an age. It's just kind of magical, and it's, I don't know. It's fun, but
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I'm curious now because you mentioned developmentally appropriate and whatnot, and like it's clear that you know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Obviously, I mean I wouldn't impugn, but like so I don't know. Do you remember any like authors about education that you had to read who really stuck with you, like John Dewey or Horace Mann or anything like that? I know this is kind of out of left field,
Yes.
but
No, in fact, a lot of I remember during I did do student teaching in Amherst, and I did a little bit. My junior year. I went to a school called the University of South Florida, and I did a little bit of. It wasn't really student teaching to get credited, but we went to classes and things, and I read a lot in those days. But a lot of the it didn't really. Well, I don't know where all that information went, because I would hear an instructor say things like, "And you're not there to be their friend. You don't smile until Christmas," like stupid things. And we'd be studying at night. If we're reading Piaget or whatever. But honestly, to answer you, I probably learned a lot from John Updike books. I don't know, but I didn't. The student teaching or the actual teaching, I don't know. I did have a bit of an instinct. And when things are developmentally appropriate, you know, because the child likes it and they can be successful. And if you give particularly little boys, they need big pieces of paper. They may write their name. If you write Ian and you only have 3 letters, it might take a while, and it might be this tall. But because of the small motor, whatever the reason is. So if someone else, the little girl next to you, is, got a little piece of paper lying on it, that's not appropriate. Do you know what I mean? Like, all you do is put different work in different folders. Like the Joe folder wouldn't necessarily have the same work in it as the Gabi folder, or that was easy to differentiate. And as I said, 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds they're not so big about success and failure. That's not their deal. It's they want to press ahead. I can do that. And so we're going to do more of that, and then it gets a little harder and a little harder. So I don't know if I answered your question.
no, I think that's really cool.
I haven't thought about these things, and now it's like coming back.
Well, that brings up another point. I really remember Legos
Yes.
a lot.
Yes.
Do you have so what kind of what was it in your mind when you brought Legos to the classroom?
Well, Legos are wonderful, even today. And they're a little fancier today, quite a little fancier. There's like Frozen, like they could have a princess made out of, with hair on the Lego, or not hair, but head thing. But it is like a math, obviously. Do you remember Cuisinart rods? It's along the lines of Cuisinart rods, and those I think I used a little bit later, but there are a lot of math concepts, not just the small motor with the Lego, patterning, it's just millions, not millions, but, and kids, obviously, I've given Legos to children that have trouble, like need to sit on a bumpy cushion, or need to rock, or need to, and you give them Legos, they're not noisy, and they're easy to manage, and they keep, I suppose, my dad used to smoke cigarettes, and I keep thinking a 5-year-old isn't going to smoke a cigarette. My dad would get nervous. He'd like do some little ritual and, keep on doing that.
Yeah.
But Legos, they're wonderful, and they, you do get a product out of the process, and there's lots of math involved, and kids really, I still have Legos around, but they're
that's
wonderful. Cuisinart rods are magnificent as well. I don't think enough people use them,
yeah.
and I don't know the reason why. But were you in kindergarten when we wore masks? That might have come later.
I think we might have.
You had to put a mask on because those are really helpful. If you say, okay, put your mask down, and then if you do some instruction, and then you'll ask a question, and people aren't looking to see who thought. It doesn't matter, but kids will look at each other, and if they're not paying attention, they might look at Joe because he always knows, like that. And it just. But if you're wearing a mask, and you're doing a grid of pegs and big holes, and I used to put like quadrants, put tape, and they'd feel their way. And I'd say, with quiet hands, take a peg and put it in the center. So they'd have to find that, piece and such. Those are really magnificent. And I don't think, I don't know. I know my granddaughter's been through first grade in Providence, and they probably have Legos, but I don't think that ever caught on.
Yeah.
The masks.
Well, that's really cool though, because it's like showing that the masks are helpful, and
Yes.
at that age, it's like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine them being helpful at many other ages, but they
Right.
in like sort of focusing people.
Yes. And it's a big challenge because you can feel tape with your fingers, and if you learn quadrant, upper quadrant, lower, upper right, they need to learn diagonal, left, right, upper, lower. That's about it. And put 4 pegs. You don't say what hole, and these pegs are, as big as a half dollar. They're clunky,
Yeah.
and you can, mess around with them. But that was another thing that was magnificent that I really liked, besides the stories. My favorite, with the Unifix cubes, small, little, I guess probably 1 inch. I don't really know. All colors, and you'd make graphs. And if you'd ask a child to, they'd have the mask on, and show me how many letters are in your name. So Joe would be easy. So I might have to go with you, so they put 3 together. You'd ask a question, they've got a mask on, and they're messing with it, they got a little pile of cubes. And it's just another way of getting information,
Yeah.
So.
That's really cool. So, what did you think when you heard that the school had closed?
Oh. Well, I knew I'd hear it someday in my lifetime, probably. But I didn't think it was very well thought out.
Mm.
I think I was told so many times, well, I have a really good 3rd grade job, and they're going to vote their pocketbook, Susan, probably this summer. I kept on being told that, and I'm like, you don't know them very well. Like the superintendent, or you sit across the table from people in the know, and you don't have a dog in the fight, but then they make such a lame argument. Like it's not sensible to say the town doesn't want it anymore. Like that was the gist of it. So I was a little flip, but I wasn't afraid that I knew I wouldn't lose my job for job performance. I was pretty sure. I mean, and the rest of it was it would save money, and I understand all that. But I'm really sorry to see. I know around the country, decentralization is the name of the game. If you're in a big, city school, or not even a big city school, I think probably at Undermountain, if there's third grades or something. They try to, there's the Blue House, and they're trying to make people feel more included, and that, I don't know. There's a lot to be said for a site like that, but I know you're never going to open again. Well, I won't say that. I won't say that. But fiscally, financially, it's, I guess, a problem.
Mm.
But it's sad to me, and I saw a woman someplace, I don't remember where. She said, "Oh, my daughter took her son by the schoolhouse, and they looked in the windows, and it's like I kind of never left. The last 3 years I didn't work there, but I left all my stuff there, and it's just, I don't know. I hope there's not mice in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of just sitting there waiting for something to happen, and it looks so sad.
Yeah, I have so many memories of.
Yeah, I can't. When I go by, like if I were going up your way, I kind of look away.
Yeah.
It's kind of silly, but there's no, it was very vibrant, and there was a guy across the street who would come over and maybe complain a little, but he said they're so full of mindless exuberance. Something like that. Well, it was recess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed being
I
full
love
of mindless
exuberance. That's how we roll,
It's like, running
But-
around.
Yeah, and I don't know. He was cranky. I'm not going to defend him, but he didn't make any trouble. He didn't go to the school meetings or anything. He just didn't like it. It was noisy, and I'll remember him telling me that.
Yeah. Oh,
Anyway.
it has a lot of memories, just like.
Oh yes, it's. But you're going to edit this anyway, right? Because I saw a mom. I do see people, kids, like the last 35 years, I see kids at the bar. They've grown up now. They own the excavating company, and they own, they're at the bank. I went to the bank, and the girl, it's like, Mrs. Anderson, it's just so funny. But they're, like you're grown, that's how it goes. I'm all grown up finally. But I forget what I was. Oh, I was going to tell you a story, but it went away. Maybe that's a good thing.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't remember.
yeah. Well, what is the biggest insight you had from teaching the children?
The biggest insight. Well, you know what? And yet, this is 5 and 6 year olds. But even at 5 and 6, you realize that they tend to worry about conforming, and you can't be unique if you're like everyone else. And in Monterey, you had a chance to be unique for quite a, when you were there, because you weren't on a bus with, a 9-year-old girl that said, "Oh, those shoes are rolling off." My granddaughter says, "A boy made fun of my hat," and stuff like that. And I said, "Lexa, you can't be Lexa if you're like everyone else.
Yeah.
I think, and I might have. I don't know if no, I have no idea if I passed that along. I know what I was going to say though. It came back to me. I was thinking of a boy. I saw his mom someplace, and I see her every once in a while, and I don't know where he lives now, but he fell in love with a girl from kindergarten. They both went to. They both were in the class, and now they're in love, and probably going to marry. Isn't that tender? It's like,
yeah.
because that will be a good marriage. I can remember that part, you know, there, anyone, yeah, anyway, that's what I was gonna say, and that just, you know, made me so happy. But I don't know, Joe. I've probably forgotten a lot.
Well, you've also mentioned a lot about like how, you know.
Yeah, I'm remembering so much, and I have this feeling now, like it was such a warm feeling. I don't know. There were days when I would go to work in the morning and I drive across the flats up towards Vickerman's, you know, and into town, and I wished I worked further away because I wasn't ready yet. Like, the sun would be coming in, and I wish my sister worked in Farmington River. If I worked in Farmington River, I could just do this for a while. But then when I got to work, it was just wonderful. You know, like, there wasn't really a getting ready for it, like the getting ready breath that Wendy wanted you to do. Like, it kind of, I don't know, there's, I remember I had a habit of, when I get frustrated, which is now and again, I'd go in the bathroom like for 90 seconds. Sometimes I pretend and I go like this. And, you know, not scream, but just do that. And one day I did it out the front door and a mom was walking up the steps. And I couldn't leave the schoolhouse, but I could get out of there a minute because something was going to make me, I don't know. She said, well, I don't know how you do this job anyway. Something like that. It's like, I said, oh, that was just one of my silent screams. Oh, gosh.
What were the years that you were at the Monterey school?
The years were, let's see, Jesse was born, I think, in 73, so I think it was 73 or
73 to 2010.
yes,
Sound about right?
I think that was right.
Wow.
I think, yeah.
Wow.
How'd you know that? I know I
Well-
retired in 2010, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I looked that up recently.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure that we didn't try to. I mean, I know, like, it would be nice to get your opinion on everything, but alas, I know that all our time is limited, so I didn't want to cover any ground that you'd already covered with anybody. With
Yeah.
like, you know.
I know. My poor cat. She's hiding, but I even talked to her. It's terrible. It's just like, anyway.
Have you been interviewed before?
You know, a man interviewed me on the telephone one day. On the telephone. But no. And I forget why. I think it was about keeping the school, or single classroom sites.
Yeah.
And I think he was mostly focusing on Egremont. But he said, but I heard you did it, or something.
Yeah.
And we talked on the phone. I remember that. And he looked up a picture. I don't know where he got it. In the archives or something. Because I didn't give it to him. It was in, I don't remember the name of the Berkshire Edge or Berkshire.
Yes, I think it was the Berkshire
It
Edge.
was something. And we talked on the telephone. And I don't remember the questions even. But, yeah.
Well, it's so.
I'm trying to remember the years. There were some big events in Monterey. Monterey Lights the Way.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
I do
Did the
remember
kids
that.
get involved in that? Do you remember that, Joe? Or
I do remember from the newspaper articles.
Yes. I'm trying to remember. That might have been a summer thing, no? I don't.
I think it was a summer thing.
I don't. I don't. Our year-end program, and people could always, stop by and come in. Like, you didn't need a call if you, and I don't know why they'd want to, but a parent, let's say. Like, you didn't have to make if you wanted to come in and sit over there quietly and not tell me what to do, it would be good, sure there were.
What about the Memorial Day parades? Because school was still in session, right?
Yes. And I have to tell you, I probably participated in not very many because when my kids were in college, we used to move them out, move them home or something. I remember that. I did a few, and the kids always marched. I didn't. And they had a banner, and they threw a wreath into the river. And we had that part fixed ahead of time. And there were parents that would, accompany them. And I probably did 8 of them or 9 of them. But when my kids were in school, my kids were all 4 years apart, so for 16 years, we did tuition in school, and 2 of them were on the 5-year program, I remember. Anyway, so that seemed, it feels like that's what I was doing at that time. But we did have a plot in the garden. Had radishes. No, kids hated them. But they'd be ready by the time we left school, so they'd get to take stuff home. You know, we tend the garden, and then that was towards the end. And that was great, except they kept wanting to go in other people's stuff, see what they had. And, you can't let kids wander in other people's gardens. And it was harder for me probably to make sure nobody stepped on somebody else's stuff. But
Who was the librarian?
well, Ann Makuc was the librarian. No, Mr. Abercrombie maybe. At the beginning?
Yeah.
I think
Probably.
it could have been him. But Ann Makuc mostly through and through, as I remember, for India until she wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
So were you still teaching when Mark Makuc took over the library?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think, and we had went on Tuesdays, I think, and and that was, everything was fun.
Yeah.
They each got to take a book, and when your grandmother worked there, she would school them on okay, when you go home, this goes on top of the refrigerator, because she didn't want it you go in a house and there's kids and you're in kindergarten, you're not as responsible as, and mom moves it and dad pushes it over there, whatever. I remember Ann saying, so a really good place would be the top of the refrigerator. That was funny because none of them could reach it, but they figured it out. We didn't lose many books. I was afraid we might. We didn't, and all those years we didn't, I'm sure.
No.
Yeah.
Was Millie Walsh, was the Walsh store
Yes.
still on the corner?
It was up on the corner, yes. And I used to type for the co-op. I didn't have a job of putting the food into everybody's basket, but I had a typewriter, the old kind of typewriter. And I did some kind of typing, I remember, at home. And then I would bring it up to Millie's house, where the garage was. And what's the boy's name? Anyway, Millie's son. He's there. He's not there now, but he was there forever.
I don't know.
I got it.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I can't either, and I don't know why, because I can see him, and I know the woman he married, and anyway, they live in Tennessee now. But she was there, yeah, and there was a really strange man next door for a while. Kitty cat's in a jar or something.
Wow. Well.
Did you want to get the masks?
Oh, or you don't have time.
No, you can get the mask right now. Yeah, I have a couple more questions I want to
all
ask.
right. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm taking up weight.
No.
But I would love you to see the mask. I'm going to bring them down because
Yeah.
they're
You
in the
need
closet.
help?
No, I don't. I don't want you to see the closet.
I have Was it in school? Was it in the school?
No, it was a gift, she said. But the Owl and the Pussycat, I remember every year. I remember I think I was, at one point as the owl probably. And it wasn't my favorite because I always wanted to be the eagle. And I think I was most happy when I was the eagle. I'm pretty sure it was the eagle at one point. So I remember jumping off, being so happy.
Well, you told the Tennyson story, right?
Yes. He clasped the crag with crooked hands.
Oh, God. Do you still remember it?
I close to the sun in lonely lands.
Ringed by the
As your world he stands.
wrinkled sea.
Oh, right.
Ethan Falls. He
The,
watches while I'm alone.
from the mountain bolts like a thunderbolt he falls.
He falls.
Yes. It's a very regular rhythm.
I was saying one day in the car, because I drive, my daughter has 3 dogs and a 5-month-old baby. I'm not Grammy in the back seat anymore. She lives next door and her husband is stationed in Egypt for 1 year.
Oh, wow.
He saw this baby when she was 48 hours old, till she was 48 hours old, and then he went.
Oh.
Anyway, what my point is, one day I'm driving her dogs, and if I talk, it feels like they listen. I mean, I know they don't listen to the words, but I was doing Under the Spreading Chestnut Tree, the Village Smithies dance, and it went on and on. I thought, wow, I still remember all the words, you know, it just like,
Yeah.
and the dogs kind of calmed down.
Yeah. I've started writing poetry now. And
Really?
Yes.
Oh, Joe.
Yeah.
I know 2 people. What's the Slithergidee? The Slithergidee and
You have to hold
the
them up.
Ogden Nash thing. Well, there's too many to.
Oh, pick
We
out the
could-
ones you like.
I'll show you that. I
Love this
love
one.
the horse.
Oh, yeah.
That's the mouse. Where's the one you were? Oh no, that's the Owl and the Pussycat. Wait a minute. I don't like that one so much. But aren't they great?
Oh, wow.
They're joking around. Like, this is
Let me try. Oh, wow.
I'll find you the horse is the best. Oh, this one. This is great. We made this stuff. It's
Yeah.
like goat hair
Goat hair
and stuff.
Was that from Susan Salou's farm?
No, it was Teresa O'Brien out in Otis.
Oh, okay.
I believe that child came from Otis. And Teresa. Try that one. That's a great one. That's my favorite. Oh, this is what was this one? Oh, the grasshopper stepped on the elephant's toe.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes,
That's
I do.
We have a whole outfit for that, and it's such a short. And this was the elephant. And you had to add. Now I remember. Remember, you had to add the ears on top
Yeah.
because the elephant. Yeah. This is the one you wore when you were a little boy.
Yes.
That's the eagle. And I believe we just had you in a brown. We had.
Yeah. It was a brown suit.
We had funny little. Yeah, we had. I didn't save all the suits. This is the elephant.
What was it?
This is the turkey, I think, that lived on the hill.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Wow. How did you pick out all these poems?
How did I don't know the answer to that, but my mother used to not read us stories so much as poems at night, and like the Owl and the Pussycat or the Sugar Plum Tree and Eugene Field in those days. She'd have books of that, and that way she could quit. You know, she had too many kids, and I found whatever ones I started with, and I thought, you know, you'd get an anthology of a bunch, and then I started buying like just Emily Dickinson or something, for kids. They have,
Yeah.
you know. But these tried and trues, you know, I guess these probably were the favorites. I don't know how we decided that year. I suppose when we were making them, we obviously wanted things for poems we were going to do. So
Yeah.
the piggy wig.
Yes, I remember.
The piggy wigs. Remember the wobbly calf?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what it goes with.
Mhm.
The Raggedy Man.
Yes.
He works for Pa.
The raggedy man.
Yeah. And the wobbly calf. I forget, but this one's adorable.
So the entire story is really amazing, especially because, I mean, I know everybody in my family except Justin so far has done poetry out loud, you know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And Maria and Gabi Maria went to state finals multiple times.
Well, I probably started at a young age. I know a boy who writes. He's from Toon Street, and his name is his dad's a Toon Street man. I'm going to think of it in a minute. Will McGovern is his name,
Okay.
and he fell in love with Maya Blanchuk.
Oh, wow. Oh, so that's the couple?
That's the couple.
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
I hope, you know, that was a little bit ago that Will's mom told me, I guess. And I just drove home and I was like, oh, it was the best thing. But he writes songs
Oh.
because you use the same,
Yeah.
but he's, I don't know what instrument he plays, but I know his dad's Toon Street, and that's instruments,
Yeah.
music stuff. So when she told me that, you all write poetry.
Yeah.
Huh.
Sorry.
Well,
Great.
you see, you liked it. You got
Yes.
inspired, and then you saw how you could do it. And
Yeah.
There's no more. There are no more.
The hat for the pirate.
Yeah. I love the horse. Is this stopping by the woods on a snowy evening?
I think so.
I think so too. We might have
Yeah.
used it for more than that. And I remember 2 kids. You put a kid under a tablecloth, and one
Yes.
kid would be back here. Whose woods are these? I think I know. You know.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Yeah. So, in my will, if you ever check on one of my granddaughters, I think Mary Ellen Brown made this one. I think it's
Yeah.
the
Very nice.
Slithergoody, and there was one about a dragon.
Not
Belinda lived in a little white house, I think out of
Yes,
Nash. A little
the
black
dragon.
kitten and a little gray mouse and a little yellow dog.
and the pirate comes out.
And the pirate comes out.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've got that. Gosh, yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm taking up way too much time.
No, this is really informative and cool.
Yeah, but, you know, you already know all this, so.
Well, I didn't know your connection to poetry, and I didn't know that, like, I didn't know all this stuff about Will McGovern and Maya Blanchuk, and this is honestly,
Well,
so it shows that like this is an intergenerational story where it's like your mother originally gave you poetry, and then
Yes.
you gave poetry to us,
Yes.
and now we are giving poetry to other people.
You're absolutely right. And yeah, it's well, I'm still about poetry, but I didn't know until I started using it to teach kids to read. Because if you wrote on the chart, the big chart, you taught the eagle, let's say, and then you wrote it, they see what it looks like, because they already know what it says.
Yeah.
And if you're doing sounds like clasps, crooked, because poetry tends to have all those I don't know, alliteration, and I don't even know, technically what everything is, but you hear sounds in a word, like, obviously, and it helps. It's immensely helpful in teaching kids to read, immensely, and I wish more people did it, because it makes it, yeah, I don't know, just flows, but
It makes it fun.
yes, yes, and it's but you participate,
Yeah,
and that's big for little kids.
yeah. I remember the boat, the owl and the pussycat.
Yeah.
Just like, it was a ton of fun to have these pieces and to have these masks and everything.
Yes, yeah. Well,
So, oh, let me get on my questions.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
Actually,
faster.
I do have another question. About talking about food. I remember, was it Ken Basler?
Yes,
One point, when did he start doing that?
that I would have to.
It's got to be the 80s, early 90s.
Wow.
Ken was just the last few
Right.
years. It was the Phoenixes, Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah,
Phoenix.
they didn't do the lunch. The lunches used to come from,
Roadside.
no, they came from, say, Mill River School, and a guy would drive them over every day. And not back in the old days, you brought a lunch or you didn't eat.
Hmm.
But then full day, maybe full day is maybe 1989 or I know because school choice I think started around 1990, and I started getting lots of kids from out of town because they were having to pay for childcare, and it was a good program, and they get a carpool going, and
Yeah.
and it made us happy, and it was full day, of course. And then it got too much trouble, or the lunch orders got too big, or I don't know what happened. But then Ken said he could do it. And so someone would walk to the store, but I can't remember when that occurred, and bring the lunches up. Yeah.
Oh, it's really cool.
Yeah, yes.
So okay. In closing, do you have a story that might like sum up or be emblematic of your experience in Monterey?
Well, did I ever read you Rabbit Hill? That might have come after.
I think
The book was old, but it was really old. Because I'm thinking of stories that I read that every kid would kind of know.
yeah, I think
But Rabbit Hill, you would remember, I think, in the tough winter, Uncle and Aldous and people. I don't know about that. But I think kids connected, and I connected with them through literature, and I can't explain, because you'd notice out in the yard they'd play out something, like you're reading a story, or and I'd be thinking about it, because I didn't, now I do know what's going to happen every time, but I don't cry anymore with Charlotte's Web.
yeah, and we'd like play, we'd make
Yeah.
pretend and play like
Yeah.
mermaids or like,
Yeah.
Lion King,
Yes.
some other theme.
Yeah. Gabi used to stand on the rock. We called it Pride Rock.
Yes.
And she'd belt out like show tunes and ride the swing, and different girls would sing like so loud, like they were on stage.
Yeah.
There was a girl named January. She did that. I don't know how she knew all the words to so many songs, but I don't know. I don't really have an answer for that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you've told a lot of really great stories.
Oh, I have I think, I saw some kids I might have seen you at the Edelmans around Christmas. I know I saw your sister.
Yeah, I
seen
think
you
so.
there. And I was looking at these grown boys like you, gonna be a lawyer or gonna be, it was funny, and I was thinking, I started remembering, like sounding out words or singing on the rock or doing
Yeah.
things, you used to do, and that's not for that thing, but there were barberry bushes, or they were prickly,
Yes.
And you had a fort.
Yes.
Like, everyone was scared. And we wondered how you didn't come out like, but you knew how to get in there and you knew how to get out there. It wasn't like Spy. It wasn't like a spy game, but it was like a timeout from all this mindless exuberance. a thinky time. Like some kids would use the swing
Yeah.
and just ride the swing and get the thinkies or sing to themselves or something. Oops, ah! Kitty cat.
Oh.
She's a punk. I've been gone, so Marina said, well, she threw up 3 times. And we got bee stings and the cat got one and I have an EpiPen. So.
Oh.
But this was last Sunday or something. And she got at least one sting. She got so sick, I was worried. I didn't know a cat, but she's only probably 5 or 6 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And she kept throwing up, and then she threw up like spit, and then it was yellow.
Oh,
She was
no.
all like weirded out.
Oh, she's
But-
good now.
Yeah, she seems, and then I went away, and she got a little weirded out, because I'm like, they say dogs have friends, cats have staff. That's me. And she drinks water that's running, and she rings a bell. You know, like she's a little bit, whatever.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
thanks.
yes.
Yeah.
I think that concludes the interview.
Let me just look at this. I don't think I need a picture.